Joe Volpe, president of the Corriere Canadese, North America's only Italian-language daily newspaper, here on behalf of GoLive TV and Corcan Media Group with the comment of the day that appears on page 2 of the Corriere Canadese today. And of course it deals with provincial politics. Premier Ford, what a lousy way to end the week last week. Premier Ford is learning the hard way the lessons of Crisis Management 101. In other words, a stitch in time saves 9. Or that the best cure is not to get sick. Now, first, he was riddled with ridicule for his public relations gambit, open for business signs. Someone forgot to tell him the price tag, and he, I think rightly, did not want to guess. Nonetheless, it ensures that more pot shots will flow down the road. Secondly, his minister for sartorial splendor, he whose fashion statement on the job is defined by his now must-wear bulletproof vest, became the subject of an expose piece by the Globe and Mail's Shannon Rafe. By Friday, iPolitics.ca, an online political magazine, drilled a little deeper into the story. Then, by Saturday, QP Briefing, yet another political magazine, had produced a veritable essay dissecting the ethical practice of the hapless Minister for Correctional Services, Mike Tibollo. It appears from the stories that the minister's association with ethics is tenuous at best. The stories all deal with one particular glaring example. The minister, known in the Italian community as Tibollo, was the president and CEO of a company convicted of a $40 million fraud. Now, the precise number has been debated, but the presiding judge, Justice John Gilliffe, said, by anyone's arithmetic, this was a massive, colossal fraud. Mr. Tibollo was being paid $500,000 per annum, that's in 2018 dollars, for his expert services at the time. Several associates were charged, convicted, fined, and/or jailed. He escaped conviction on a technicality, but the trial judge was merciless on his assessment of Tibollo's ethics. Full disclosure. During the election, the Corriere Canadese had written about this and about the fact that there were numerous lawsuits in which Mr. Tibollo was either the plaintiff or the defendant. The Corriere Canadese and its editorial staff are defendants in one of those statements of claim. Okay. Somehow, Mr. Tibollo passed the required screening before entering cabinet, suggesting, perhaps wrongly, that the ethical practices are not part of this government's priorities. Now, one wonders why the Integrity Commissioner didn't raise red flags. In the past, governments of all political stripes have demanded at the very least that candidates clear up outstanding legal issues prior to cabinet swearings in. In this instance, the matter, after the fact, was deemed serious enough in its consequences to prompt the dismissal of the minister's chief of staff and the shuffling of 3 other chiefs of staff, probably to soften the impact. It'll have the opposite effect. In all likelihood, it will prolong the agony. The Premier's office, as well as the Cabinet office, must have been swamped with calls from the minister's colleagues and progressive conservative adherents who see this as a negative reflection on the government's ethical compass. The Premier ran against rotten corruption from within his own party and that of the government of the day. Also on Friday, Minister Jim Wilson, a long-serving MPP whose personal public service has been beyond reproach, announced that he was leaving cabinet and caucus to deal with some addiction issues. It's how the Tibulo case should have been handled. Now it's turned into a costly personal and government exercise. As an update, today, the Premier took the appropriate steps to make some changes and shuffle this cabinet. This is Joe Volpe for Go Live TV, Corcan Media Group, and Corriere Canadese with the comment of the day, inviting you to stay tuned for the comment in Italian and subsequently in Portuguese. Follow us on Facebook and all social media.